Welcome to Alice 1, a sanctuary for the seeking spirit. Here we breathe in the arcane and listen to the whispers of the unseen world. Magic breathes in these quiet corners. Enter with an open heart, dear seeker. Curiosity is a sacred spark leading us to profound truths. Together we embark on a journey for illumination and understanding. We peel back layers of assumption, like unwrapping an ancient gift. Embrace the enigma and welcome the unknown. The world is far stranger and more magical than everyday tales suggest. A deeper understanding awaits those with the courage to truly look. If you find this journey intriguing, don't forget to like and subscribe for more explorations into the mystical. Today, we focus on the potent phrase, dark magic. These words evoke images of shadow, mystery, and ill intent. But what truly lies behind this evocative name? Popular culture has woven terrifying narratives around dark magic. It is often depicted as the villain's tool, the path to ruin. Yet the mystical world is rarely so easily defined. It is a realm of profound nuance, not just black and white. Our purpose is to peer beyond the veil and question ingrained perceptions. What is the true essence of these ancient practices? Is dark magic genuinely what we believe it to be? These ancient arts, branded as dark, are not new. Their roots stretch deep into history, across continents and civilizations. How societies viewed these practices varied greatly. Dominant perceptions were shaped by those in power. The label dark often served as a tool for societal control. Fear takes root where understanding is absent, breeding prejudice. Entire spiritual paths were driven into shadow, their wisdom obscured. Practitioners became stigmatized outcasts. The richness of human spirituality was diminished by these labels. We miss the living heart beneath the surface when we accept simple labels. Our journey is one of discovery, not endorsement or condemnation. We seek to understand with an open spirit, unclouded by fear. The true mystical path demands inner courage to question and see anew. We will explore traditions often miscategorized as dark magic. Hoodoo, Voodoo, and modern Satanism each possess unique histories. Our aim is to lift veils and dismantle persistent myths. Magic is a neutral vessel, defined by its user and purpose. This is an invitation to question, learn, and grow. All is one. Light and shadow are intertwined. True understanding requires embracing all parts. We begin with Hoodoo, a spiritual system born from resilience. Known also as root work or conjure, it connects to the earth. Hoodoo is an African-American folk magic tradition. Its roots intertwine with the history of a people. It is a blend of African, Native American, and European influences. Shaped by the crucible of slavery, Hoodoo became a source of empowerment. It is not a formal religion, but a practical system of magical work. Hoodoo focuses on tangible results and earthly concerns. It offers tools and methods to navigate everyday life. Hoodoo is a spiritual lifeline, a language of resistance. At the core of Hoodoo is root work, connecting with nature. Roots, herbs, and minerals hold significant power. The root worker understands these hidden virtues. Conjure is the art of spellcasting within Hoodoo. It involves creating charms, setting lights, and spiritual baths. Each act is a prayer made manifest, a focused intention. Tools like candles, oils, and incense are deeply symbolic. Personal concerns create a direct link to individuals. Hoodoo aims for practical human concerns like love, prosperity, and protection. It offers avenues for justice and righting wrongs. Hoodoo is often misunderstood and labelled as dark magic. This arises from a lack of understanding and cultural bias. Some methods, like using graveyard dirt, seem unsettling. Practices like crossing or hexing fuel fears. These works are acts of last resort, often for self-defense. Hoodoo seeks to balance scales, not provoke aggression. It acknowledges both blessing and bane, working with all energies. Labeling Hoodoo as dark ignores its historical role and capacity for good. The power within Hoodoo is defined by its use. The perceived darkness is often the observer's own fear. Section 4. Whispers of the Unseen, Spirits and Ancestors in Hoodoo. Hoodoo is a practice deeply imbued with a connection to the spirit world. It operates on the understanding that we are not alone in this existence, that unseen forces, entities, and energies profoundly influence our lives. These are not necessarily distant gods or monolithic deities, but rather the spirits of place, the spirits inherent in nature, and most significantly, the spirits of those who have walked before us. The root worker learns to listen to these subtle whispers, to discern their messages, to respectfully engage with these forces to achieve their desired ends. The ancestors hold a place of paramount importance within Hoodoo. They are seen not as departed souls, lost to us forever, but as powerful allies, wise guides, and staunch protectors. One's own bloodline, the chain of those who came before, offers a direct conduit to spiritual support and inherited wisdom. Offerings are made to the ancestors: water, food, light, spoken words. To honor them, to seek their favor, to ask for their intervention. Their presence is a comfort, their guidance a precious, sought-after gift. Beyond the ancestors, Hoodoo acknowledges other spiritual presences. These might be local land spirits, the animating forces within rivers or mountains, or the indwelling spirits of specific herbs and roots themselves. Some practitioners may also work with biblical figures like Moses or Solomon, viewing them not just as historical figures but as powerful spiritual adepts, whose knowledge of God's magic can be called upon for aid. This demonstrates Hoodoo's ability to incorporate diverse spiritual elements without being confined by the strictures of any single religious doctrine. The relationship between the practitioner and the spirit world is personal. It is cultivated through experience, through intuition, through dedicated work. There is no intermediary priest class to mediate this connection. The root worker, the conjure person, learns to trust their inner senses, to read the signs, to interpret the dreams, to feel the shifts in energy. This direct line to the spiritual is a source of immense power. It is also a profound responsibility, demanding respect and discernment. For the unseen world is vast, and not all its inhabitants are inherently benign. Section 5. The Enduring Spirit, Hoodoo's Resilience and True Purpose. Despite centuries of suppression, misunderstanding, and outright persecution, Hoodoo has not only survived, it has shown remarkable resilience. It has been passed down through generations, often in secret. A whispered knowledge shared between mother and daughter, elder and youth. This tenacious spirit speaks to its inherent vitality, its deep truth. It speaks to its continued relevance in the lives of those who practice it. Its ability to adapt, to absorb, to remain potent is a testament to the enduring power of ancestral ways. In modern times, Hoodoo continues to be practiced and to evolve. While some traditions fade with time, Hoodoo maintains its quiet strength. It finds new expressions, new practitioners, new ways to serve. Books are written, online communities form, knowledge is shared more openly. Yet its core principles, its connection to roots and spirits, remain. This adaptability ensures its legacy for future generations. It is a living tradition, not a relic of a forgotten past, forever responding to the needs of the people it serves. Hoodoo is far more than just a collection of spells or curious rituals. It is a significant aspect of African American cultural heritage, a spiritual technology developed out of necessity, creativity, and profound faith. It represents a deep wellspring of folk wisdom, of survival strategies. To dismiss it as mere superstition or dark magic is to erase this history. It is to silence the voices of those who found solace and strength within it. Its study offers insights into a unique worldview, a powerful spiritual path, one that deserves respect, understanding, and careful consideration. Ultimately, the true purpose of Hoodoo is empowerment. It is about providing individuals with the tools to navigate life's challenges, to protect themselves and their loved ones, to attract good things, to heal wounds, both physical and spiritual, and to seek justice. The dark label often applied is a profound mischaracterization, born from fear and a refusal to see its true, life-affirming heart. Hoodoo, in its essence, is practical magic for a sometimes harsh world, a way to reclaim agency, to find balance, and to walk with spirit. Section 1. The Sacred Dance of Spirits, introducing Voodoo. Now let us turn our gaze towards another profound spiritual path, one that is perhaps even more shrouded in myth and misunderstanding. We speak now of Voodoo, or Vodou, as many of its faithful prefer. This is an ancient tradition, its deepest roots nourished by the soil of West Africa. It is a vibrant faith, pulsating with life, with spirit, with sacred energy, often sensationalized, rarely truly understood by the uninitiated eye. Voodoo is not a collection of sinister spells, but a complex spiritual tapestry, woven with threads of history, resilience, and profound connection to the divine. From its African cradle, Voodoo journeyed across the vast, sorrowful waters, carried in the hearts and souls of those stolen from their homelands. It took new, powerful root in the Caribbean, most notably in Haiti. Here, amidst unimaginable hardship, Voodoo not only survived, it flourished. It became a beacon of strength, a source of identity, a wellspring of spiritual power. It is important to affirm Voodoo is a religion, a complete spiritual system, with its own cosmology, its own priesthood, its own sacred rites, a path that guides its followers through the mysteries of life and death. At its very essence, Voodoo is about connection, a sacred interplay, a deep, resonant bond with the unseen forces that shape our world. It connects its practitioners to the spirits known as the lower, to the enduring wisdom of the ancestors who watch and guide, to the rhythms of nature, the sacredness of the earth itself. This profound interconnectedness is a far cry from the shallow, fearful portrayals that dominate popular culture, reducing a living faith to a mere caricature. Voodoo invites a relationship with the totality of existence, seen and unseen. Our purpose here is to gently part the veil of these distortions, to look beyond the chilling images so often presented to us. We seek to glimpse the authentic spiritual heart of Voodoo, to understand its philosophy, its beauty, its inherent complexity. This is not an attempt to sanitize nor to sensationalize further, but to offer a respectful exploration of a rich and enduring faith, a faith that has provided solace, meaning, and empowerment for countless souls. Let us approach with open minds and spirits willing to learn anew. Central to the practice and worldview of Voodoo are the lower. These are the powerful spirits, the intermediaries between humanity and the distant Bondi. Bondi is the supreme creator, regarded as too vast, too remote for direct human interaction. The lower, however, are intimately involved in the daily lives of Vaudouisants. They are not abstract deities residing in some far-off heaven, but living forces, active presences that can be known, served, and felt. They are the architects of destiny, the weavers of fate, the voices of the invisible. Each lower is a distinct personality, a unique current of divine energy. The pantheon of lower is vast and remarkably diverse, a true spiritual family. They are often grouped into nanchons or nations, like the Rada and the Petwu. The Rada lower are generally seen as benevolent, gentle, originating from Dahomey. They represent coolness, peace, the ancestral spirits of Africa. The Petwu lower, on the other hand, were largely born from the crucible of Haiti. They are fiery, sometimes aggressive, representing resilience, action, and revolution. Each lower governs specific aspects of life: love, healing, justice, creativity, death. Understanding their individual natures is key to serving them correctly. Practitioners, known as Vaudouisants, cultivate deep relationships with the lower. This is not a passive worship, but an active, reciprocal service. They offer prayers, light candles, present specific foods and drinks favored by each spirit. Sacred drawings, intricate symbols known as vives, are meticulously traced on the earth. These vives act as invitations, as gateways for the lower to enter the sacred space. Music, drumming, and specific songs are essential to call them forth. To serve a lower is to honor them, to feed their energy, to keep their presence alive. It is a commitment born of respect, devotion, and sometimes profound need. This sacred relationship is one of mutual exchange, a divine partnership. The lower, when properly served and honored, offer their blessings in return. They provide guidance through dreams, through divination, through inspired words. They offer protection from harm, healing for the sick, and strength in adversity. They can bring fortune, ensure justice, and restore balance to a troubled life. The connection is personal, intimate. A lower may become a special patron to an individual, a met-tet, or master of the head, guiding their spiritual path. This living communion with the spirit world is the vibrant core of voodoo. Voodoo rituals are the sacred arenas where the veil thins, where the world of spirits and the world of humans meet and interact. These ceremonies are not solemn, hushed affairs conducted in dim shadows. Rather, they are vibrant, dynamic, and intensely energetic expressions of faith. Music is the undeniable heartbeat of voodoo ritual, powerful and compelling. The intricate rhythms of the drums call to the lower, invite their presence. Sacred songs, passed down through generations, tell their stories, praise their power. Dance becomes a form of prayer, a way to embody the spirit's energy. The Hungan, the voodoo priest, and the Mambo, the voodoo priestess, are central figures. They are not self-appointed mystics, but initiated spiritual leaders. They undergo long, rigorous training to learn the sacred songs, the rituals, the vives, to understand the complex natures of the lower and how to serve them. They act as healers, diviners, and counselors for their communities. Facilitating communication between the human and spirit realms is their sacred duty. They bear great responsibility, guiding their congregations with wisdom and care. Their role is vital to the spiritual health and cohesion of their followers. The Haunfo, the voodoo temple, is the sacred space where these ceremonies unfold. It is more than just a building. It is a consecrated ground, a spiritual home. At its heart often stands the Poto Mitan, the sacred center post. This pillar is seen as a direct channel, a pathway for the lower to descend from the spirit world into the world of the living during ritual. Around it, the vives are drawn with cornmeal or flour, each unique to the invited lower. Altars laden with offerings, candles, bottles of rum, perfumes, images of saints, all create a potent atmosphere, charged with spiritual expectation and devotion. One of the most profound and often misunderstood aspects of voodoo ritual is spirit possession. This is not the demonic infestation depicted in fearful tales, but a sacred communion, an honor where a lower mounts or rides a devotee. The individual's consciousness recedes, and the spirit speaks and acts through them. The lower may offer prophecies, give counsel, perform healings, or simply dance. It is a direct, unmediated encounter with the divine, often transformative for the individual, and a powerful affirmation of the lower's presence for the entire community. This sacred dance of spirit and flesh is a testament to voodoo's living power. The very word voodoo often conjures immediate, deeply ingrained images. Many of these images are born not of truth, but of cinematic exaggeration. Hollywood, with its penchant for the dramatic and the terrifying, has done much harm. It has painted voodoo as a sinister cult, obsessed with darkness and death. Perhaps the most pervasive and damaging stereotype is that of the voodoo doll. Tiny effigies, bristling with pins, used solely to inflict agonizing pain upon enemies. This image, endlessly repeated, has become the defining symbol of voodoo for many. A symbol that obscures far more than it could ever reveal about the faith. In truth, the use of dolls or effigies, sometimes called poppets, is not unique to voodoo. Such practices can be found in many folk magic traditions across the globe. Within voodoo, if an effigy is used, its purpose is far more nuanced. Yes, it can be employed in workings of justice or to return harm. But just as often, if not more so, such objects are used for healing, to concentrate beneficial energies towards a person who is sick or in need. They can be used for blessings, for love spells, for protection. The intent of the practitioner, not the object itself, defines its nature. It is true that voodoo, like the hoodoo we have discussed, acknowledges life's full spectrum. It does not shy away from the existence of shadow, of conflict, of necessary defense. There are indeed practices within voodoo that can be used to protect oneself or to seek justice when all other avenues have failed those who suffer. This might involve workings that could be perceived by outsiders as curses or hexes. But these are not undertaken lightly, nor are they the central focus of the religion. They are elements within a much larger spiritual system, a system that prioritizes balance, and that offers profound resources for healing, guidance, and spiritual growth. To focus solely on these sensationalized dark aspects is a grave misrepresentation. It is akin to judging an entire ocean by observing only its turbulent storms while ignoring the vast, life-giving depths that lie beneath the surface. The everyday practice of voodoo for most of its followers is about connection. Connection to the lower, to the ancestors, to the community, to the sacred earth. It is about seeking healing, finding guidance, celebrating life, and honoring the spirits. The shadows exist, as they do in all aspects of life and spirit, but they do not define the beautiful, complex, and enduring soul of voodoo. Section 5. The Enduring Soul of Voodoo, a Tapestry of Life. Voodoo is far more than a collection of rituals or a pantheon of spirits. It is a complete and coherent worldview, a profound spiritual philosophy. It offers its adherents a way to understand their place in the cosmos, to navigate the complexities of human existence from birth to death and beyond. Voodoo provides a moral compass, a framework for ethical living, emphasizing respect for the spirits, for nature, and for one another. It teaches the importance of responsibility, of honoring one's commitments, and of living in balance with the forces that shape our lives. A cornerstone of voodoo is its emphasis on community and mutual support. The Honfor is not just a temple, but a spiritual family, a social hub. Vaudouisants come together to celebrate, to mourn, to heal, to support each other. This sense of collective identity and shared spiritual purpose is incredibly strong. Ancestors are revered not as forgotten ghosts, but as active members of the lineage. Their wisdom guides the living, their blessings protect the family. The sacredness of nature is also deeply ingrained, with spirits inhabiting trees, rivers, and stones. This creates a profound respect for the environment, for all of life. The resilience of voodoo is a powerful testament to its spiritual vitality. For centuries, it has faced relentless persecution, denigration, and misunderstanding. Colonial powers and dominant religions sought to eradicate it, to silence its drums. Yet, it has endured, adapting, evolving, and retaining its sacred core. This survival against such overwhelming odds speaks to the deep truth it holds. For the millions who have found and continue to find solace and strength within its embrace. Its continued vibrancy in Haiti and across the diaspora is truly remarkable. A sacred fire that refuses to be extinguished by ignorance or fear. Therefore, let us move beyond the distorted caricatures, the fearful whispers. Let us acknowledge voodoo as a rich, complex, and legitimate spiritual tradition, a path that has offered profound meaning and connection for generations. Its shadows, like the shadows in our own lives, are part of a greater whole. They do not negate the immense beauty, the deep wisdom, the vibrant life force that pulsates at the heart of this ancient and enduring faith. Voodoo is a testament to the diverse ways humanity seeks the sacred, a living, breathing spiritual tapestry worthy of our deepest respect. Section 1. The Black Flame Kindled, Anton LaVey and the Birth of a New Satanism. We now approach a path often veiled in the deepest shadows of assumption, modern Satanism, a term that can evoke immediate visceral reactions. Many associate it instinctively with the ultimate dark magic. Yet, as with all things shrouded in mystery, the surface rarely tells the full tale. Our exploration leads us to a pivotal figure, Anton Szandor LaVey. It was he who, in the year 1969, penned a book that would ignite controversy. This book was titled The Satanic Bible. Its arrival marked a distinct, challenging moment in spiritual discourse. The late 1960s were a crucible of profound societal transformation, a time of questioning established norms, of cultural upheaval and rebellion. Old structures of authority were being challenged, new freedoms sought. It was within this fertile ground of dissent that LaVey's philosophy emerged. He founded the Church of Satan in 1966, a visible beacon for his ideas. The Satanic Bible served as its foundational text, its guiding manifesto. It was not whispered in hidden covens, but published openly. A bold declaration in a world already grappling with shifting values. The publication of the Satanic Bible sent ripples, even shockwaves, through society. For many, its very title was an affront, a provocation. It was immediately sensationalized, often condemned without true understanding. Fearful whispers spoke of devil worship, of blasphemous rites, of evil unleashed. The popular imagination, already primed with images of a horned, malevolent entity, struggled to reconcile this with LaVey's articulate philosophical pronouncements. Was this a genuine spiritual path, or a carefully crafted charade? The questions hung heavy in the air, thick with suspicion and intrigue. Our purpose here is not to condone nor to condemn, but to illuminate, to peer beyond the dramatic headlines, the ingrained cultural fears. What did Anton LaVey truly propose within the pages of his infamous book? Is modern Satanism, as defined by him, a call to nefarious deeds? Or is it something else entirely, a radical philosophy of self? Let us approach with an open mind, willing to dissect the myth from the message. For sometimes the most shadowed paths hold unexpected truths, truths that challenge us to reconsider our deepest assumptions. Section 2. The 11 Satanic Rules of Earth. A philosophy of self-preservation. At the heart of LaVeyan Satanism lies a distinct code of conduct, not commandments handed down from a divine authority, but pragmatic guidelines. These are often summarized in the 11 Satanic Rules of the Earth. They speak not of otherworldly salvation, but of thriving in this carnal existence. The philosophy champions individualism, a fierce and unapologetic self-focus. It encourages strength, vitality, and the pursuit of personal fulfillment. This is not a path of meekness, nor of turning the other cheek. It is a call to embrace one's own power, intelligently and strategically. Self-empowerment is a cornerstone, a foundational principle of this way. Satanism, in LaVey's vision, urges individuals to be their own gods, to take full responsibility for their lives, their actions, their destinies. There is no reliance on external saviors or divine intervention here. The power to change, to achieve, to overcome, resides within the self. This demands a keen awareness, a sharp intellect, and a strong will. It is a path for those who dare to sculpt their own reality. Rejecting the notion of being a passive pawn in some cosmic game, a key aspect that often startles outsiders is the embrace of indulgence. The Satanic Bible posits that indulgence, not compulsion, is the magic of life. This is a direct challenge to traditional religious doctrines of abstinence and denial. Satanism suggests that human beings are carnal creatures with natural desires. To suppress these desires, it argues, leads to frustration and hypocrisy. Instead, one should intelligently pursue gratification without harming others undeserving. This is not a call for mindless hedonism, but for a conscious enjoyment of life's pleasures. A celebration of the senses, of the body, of earthly existence itself. This philosophy also introduces the concept of responsibility to the responsible. It is a nuanced idea, far removed from indiscriminate compassion. Satanism encourages kindness and aid to those who deserve it, to those who contribute, who are capable, who are worthy of respect. However, it does not advocate wasting energy or resources on those who would exploit, or on those who consistently prove themselves to be parasitic or detrimental. This is a form of ethical pragmatism, a selective application of empathy. Protecting one's own well-being and vital energy is paramount. A profound point of misunderstanding surrounds the figure of Satan itself. In LaVeyan Satanism, Satan is generally not worshipped as a literal deity. There are no prayers to a horned being residing in a fiery underworld. This is a largely atheistic or agnostic philosophy in its core tenets. The Church of Satan, for instance, explicitly states its atheistic stance. It views gods and devils as human creations, projections of our own psyches. So, what then is the role of Satan in Satanism? The answer lies in symbolism, in potent archetypal power. Satan, in this context, becomes a powerful symbol of rebellion, an icon of defiance against arbitrary authority and oppressive dogma. He represents the eternal dissenter, the one who questions, who challenges, the adversary not of humanity, but of blind faith and herd mentality. This Satan is the spirit of critical inquiry, of intellectual independence. He embodies the courage to stand apart, to forge one's own path, even if that path leads away from the comforting illusions of the majority. A champion of free thought, unburdened by ancient superstitions. Furthermore, Satan is embraced as a symbol of our carnal nature, of the untamed life force, the vital existence that religions often seek to curb. He represents pride, not as a sin, but as self-respect and dignity. He stands for worldly wisdom, for the pleasures of the flesh, for undefiled wisdom. This is a celebration of humanity in its fullness, with all its desires, its ambitions, its inherent connection to the animalistic, earthy aspects of being. It is an affirmation of life here and now, rather than a deferred heavenly reward, a call to live fully, richly, and without unnecessary apology. This symbolic reinterpretation radically challenges traditional notions of evil. If Satan is not a literal entity of malice, but an archetype of liberation, then the very framework of good versus evil begins to shift, to blur. Satanism, in this light, does not ask its adherents to be evil, but rather to question who defines evil and for what purpose. It suggests that much of what has been labelled sin or darkness is simply natural human behaviour, suppressed by those seeking control. The adversary here is not a cosmic foe, but restrictive thinking itself. Modern Satanism, as outlined by LaVey, mounts a potent critique of conventional morality. It often views traditional religious ethics as hypocritical and life-denying, accusing them of fostering guilt, shame, and unnatural repression. The Satanist seeks to live by a more realistic, pragmatic code, one that acknowledges human nature as it is, not as it should be. This involves a shattering of sacred tablets, a re-evaluation of inherited values. It is a call to define one's own ethics based on reason and self-interest, rather than blindly accepting dictates from ancient texts or institutions. A central theme is the embrace of the whole self, including its shadowed aspects. Satanism does not advocate for the suppression of our darker impulses, but rather for their understanding, their integration, and their controlled expression. To deny these parts of ourselves, it argues, is to live an incomplete, fractured life. The shadow self holds power, creativity, and vital energy. The goal is not to indulge in uncontrolled, destructive behavior, but to harness these primal forces for personal strength and achievement. To become a complete individual, acknowledging all facets of one's being. This philosophy actively rejects the imposition of guilt and shame, especially concerning natural human desires and instincts. The pursuit of pleasure, ambition, and self-preservation are not seen as sins, but as valid expressions of a healthy, vital existence. Satanism encourages a shedding of the psychic burdens imposed by doctrines that teach inherent human unworthiness or the sinfulness of the flesh. It promotes a sense of pride in one's own nature and capabilities. Freedom from guilt is seen as essential for true self-empowerment. This challenging of morality extends to concepts of justice. The satanic principle of lex talionis, or an eye for an eye, is often cited. This is a stark contrast to injunctions to turn the other cheek. Satanism advocates for justice in this life, not deferred to an afterlife. If one is wronged, it is considered appropriate to respond in kind, not out of uncontrolled rage, but as a calculated restoration of balance. This does not mean initiating aggression, but it does mean defending oneself and ensuring that those who cause harm face tangible consequences. Despite articulate explanations, modern Satanism remains plagued by misconceptions. The most persistent is the conflation with literal devil worship, or theistic Satanism. Many still imagine clandestine rituals involving sacrifices or pacts with a demonic entity. Or they associate Satanism with criminal acts and malevolent intent. These lurid fantasies are largely fueled by media sensationalism and historical prejudice. They bear little resemblance to the actual philosophy espoused by LaVey or the practices of most who identify as LaVeyan Satanists today. The reality is often far more intellectual and individualistic. It is also important to note that Satanism is not a monolithic term. While LaVey's Church of Satan established a foundational modern interpretation, other groups and individuals have since adopted the label with differing philosophies. Some may be theistic, believing in Satan as a real being. Others, like the Satanic Temple, use satanic imagery for political activism and social critique, focusing on issues of secularism, bodily autonomy, and compassion. Our focus here has primarily been on the atheistic, individualist current that flowed from the Satanic Bible, as this is often misunderstood as dark magic. So, how does a modern LaVeyan Satanist live this philosophy? It is less about overt ritual and more about a personal orientation to life. It involves critical thinking, questioning authority, and taking responsibility. It means pursuing personal goals with intelligence and determination, enjoying the pleasures of life without guilt while being mindful of consequences, and interacting with the world based on reason and pragmatic ethics. It is a path of self-mastery, of becoming the architect of one's own existence, a quiet rebellion enacted in the everyday choices one makes. In conclusion, when we peel back the layers of fear and sensationalism, modern Satanism, particularly in its Laveyan form, reveals itself. Not as a call to embrace evil or worship a dark lord, but as a philosophy centered on radical individualism and self-empowerment. It challenges us to question, to think for ourselves, to define our own values. Its use of Satan is symbolic, a potent metaphor for rebellion and human nature. Whether one agrees with its tenets or not, understanding its actual philosophy is crucial to moving beyond the myths that so often cloud our perception of the darker paths. This exploration now brings us to a most profound spiritual truth, a concept that underpins much of the mystical understanding of existence. We speak of duality, the inherent two-ness of all things. Think of the day, forever bound to the night that follows. Consider life, defined in part by the inevitability of death, joy and sorrow, creation and dissolution, stillness and motion. These are not mere human observations, but fundamental rhythms. The very pulse of the cosmos beats in these perceived opposites. Yet, this duality is not a state of perpetual war between opposing forces. It is, rather, a delicate dance of interdependence, a sacred partnership. How could we comprehend the brilliance of light without the velvet cloak of darkness? Could the sweetness of joy be truly savoured without the bitter taste of sorrow? One pole gives meaning, definition, and existence to the other. They are two faces of the same ancient, indivisible coin. To deny one is to fail to fully grasp the essence of the other. This understanding challenges our simpler notions of absolute separation. Ancient wisdom across cultures has long recognized this profound interplay. Perhaps the most eloquent symbol is the taijitu, the yin and yang, a perfect circle divided by a flowing line, half dark, half light. Crucially, within the deepest dark, a point of light resides, and within the brightest light, a seed of darkness is held. They are not static, but endlessly flowing one into the other, a constant dynamic equilibrium, a testament to balance. Other symbols, too, echo this truth: intertwined serpents, the sun and moon united. Why is this concept of duality so vital to our current journey? Because it offers us a key, a lens through which to see anew. It allows us to move beyond the stark, fear-laden labels of good and evil, especially when we consider spiritual practices that engage with power. To understand duality is to begin to perceive the whole intricate picture, not just the isolated fragments that our fears may highlight. It invites us to look deeper, to question our inherited assumptions, and to find a more nuanced, more complete understanding of magic itself. The human mind often seeks to categorize, to simplify the vast unknown. We draw lines, create boxes, and label them good or evil. This binary is comforting, perhaps, in its straightforward clarity. But the universe, in its infinite complexity, rarely adheres to such neat divisions. Many ancient spiritual traditions perceived the cosmos differently. They saw not a battleground between absolute good and absolute evil, but a dynamic interplay of diverse forces, each with its role, each necessary for the grand, unfolding cosmic drama. Consider the raw, untamed powers of nature, often perceived as destructive. A raging wildfire consumes the old growth, yet its ashes enrich the soil. From that seeming devastation, new life bursts forth with renewed vigor. A violent storm brings crashing waves and torrential rain, yet it also replenishes the parched earth, disperses seeds far and wide. Death itself, the ultimate shadow, is the solemn gatekeeper of rebirth. The fallen leaf nourishes the tree from which it fell. These are not acts of malice, but essential processes of transformation. These powerful, sometimes terrifying natural forces are not inherently evil. They are expressions of cosmic energy, indifferent to human moral judgments. A volcano erupts not from wickedness, but from geological necessity. The predator hunts not from cruelty, but from the instinct to survive. It is often our limited human perspective, our fear or our grief, that casts these events in the stark light of good or bad. The universe operates on principles far grander, far more cyclical, than our simple moral dichotomies can often encompass. This understanding has profound implications for magical practice. Energies that might seem dark or even destructive are not always malevolent. They can be forces of cleansing, of profound and necessary purification. They can be called upon to banish stubborn negativity, to break stagnant patterns, to dismantle old restrictive structures, thus clearing the path for new creation. The true nature of such work lies not in the force itself, but in the informed intention, the ethical framework of the practitioner, and the ultimate purpose for which such potent energies are consciously directed. The principle of duality echoes not only in the vast cosmos, but also within the intricate, often hidden landscape of the human psyche. Here, we encounter what many traditions refer to as the shadow self. This is the repository of all that we have disowned or repressed. Our fears, our insecurities, our anxieties, our unexpressed angers. But the shadow is not solely a container for negativity, for perceived flaws. It also holds immense, often untapped reservoirs of creative energy. Our dormant strengths, our hidden talents, our deepest unspoken passions. To deny or suppress this shadow self is a common yet ultimately futile endeavor. For what is pushed into darkness does not simply vanish into oblivion. Instead, it festers. It gains a subtle and often unacknowledged power. It can influence our thoughts, our emotions, our behaviors in ways we do not realize. Often, the unacknowledged shadow is projected outwards onto others. We see in them the very traits we cannot or will not face within ourselves. This leads to judgment, to conflict, to a fractured perception of reality. A life lived in denial of half of one's own being. The journey towards true wholeness, therefore, involves a courageous turning inward. It requires a willingness to face the shadow, to acknowledge its presence, to explore its contents without flinching, without immediate condemnation. This is not an easy path. It demands honesty, vulnerability, and deep self-compassion. It means meeting those parts of ourselves we have long sought to avoid, to understand their origins, their messages, their frustrated needs. This sacred inner work is the alchemy of personal transformation, turning the lead of our hidden aspects into the gold of integrated selfhood. The rewards of embracing and integrating the shadow are truly profound. We reclaim lost parts of our energy, our vitality, our authentic power. We develop greater emotional maturity, deeper empathy for ourselves and for others. For when we acknowledge our own capacity for darkness, we are less quick to judge. Wholeness does not mean achieving a state of perpetual, unblemished light. It means becoming a complete human being, embracing all facets of our nature, the light and the shadow, reconciled and working in harmony within. This is the foundation of true self-knowledge and enduring inner peace. Many spiritual practices that society has hastily labeled as dark magic are, in essence, paths that consciously acknowledge this principle of totality. They do not shy away from the shadowed aspects of existence or of power. Instead, they seek to understand and engage with the full spectrum of energies. This includes those forces that others may fear, misunderstand, or reject. It is an approach that recognizes the world in its completeness, not a sanitized, idealized version, but reality in all its raw magnificence, its beauty, its terror, its creative force, its destructive potential. Consider again the metaphor of walking through a dark forest at night. Initially, the encroaching darkness can evoke a primal sense of fear. The familiar world is obscured. Unknown shapes lurk in the periphery. Yet, as our eyes adjust, as our senses sharpen, a different reality emerges. The darkness reveals the subtle glow of the moon, the distant shimmer of stars, the nocturnal sounds of the forest, the scent of damp earth and unseen blossoms. The mystery itself becomes a source of profound awakening, of heightened awareness. The dark is not empty, but full of hidden life and unseen wonders. In a similar vein, the energies sometimes referred to as dark in magical traditions are not necessarily synonymous with evil or malevolent intent. They can be the potent, chthonic energies of the deep earth itself, the powers of the night, the mysteries of the subconscious mind, the unknown. These are primal forces, ancient and formidable, holding immense potential. Like any significant power, they demand respect, skill, and careful handling. They are not to be trifled with, nor approached with arrogance or ignorance. But to deny their existence is to deny a vast segment of reality's power. Here, the crucial element, the defining factor, is always the practitioner. Their heart, their training, their ethical compass, their ultimate intention. Is the purpose of the work to inflict unwarranted harm, to dominate, to control? Or is it to heal, to protect, to empower, to bring about necessary change? The same universal energies can be channeled towards vastly different ends. A flame can provide warmth and light, or it can consume and destroy. The power itself is neutral. Its alignment is determined by the will that directs it. This is a profound responsibility that rests upon any who dare to work with such forces. The ultimate aim of many profound spiritual paths is not the annihilation of darkness, nor is it the exclusive pursuit of an idealized, unshadowed light. Rather, it is the achievement of a dynamic, harmonious balance between these forces. A state of equilibrium where perceived opposites are understood as complementary. This is the path of true mastery, of profound wisdom and inner integration. It is not about choosing one side over the other, but about embracing both. Understanding their interplay, their necessity, their eternal dance within and without. This journey transforms our perception of conflict into an appreciation of cosmic harmony. This conscious integration is often referred to as a sacred marriage, an alchemical union of the light and shadow aspects of the self and of existence. It is the recognition that both are divine, both are essential. The sun and the moon, the conscious and subconscious, the seen and unseen. When these polarities are brought together in willed, loving awareness, something new and more complete is birthed from their union. A higher state of consciousness, a more expansive understanding of reality. This is the transformative power of embracing the totality of being. This integrated perspective leads inevitably to a deeper understanding of all is one. We begin to see how the light and the dark are not separate, warring kingdoms, but interconnected expressions of a single, unified, underlying reality. The threads of shadow are as essential to the grand tapestry as the threads of light. Each contributes to the richness, the depth, the beauty of the whole design. This recognition fosters a profound sense of compassion and interconnectedness. We see the interplay of light and shadow in ourselves, in others, in the world. And we understand that we are all part of this magnificent unfolding divine play. Therefore, let us release the simplistic notion of light as good and dark as evil. They are not enemies locked in eternal combat, but essential partners in existence. The shadow holds potency, mystery, and the potential for profound rebirth. The light offers clarity, growth, and the brilliance of conscious awareness. Both are necessary for the soul's journey, for true spiritual insight. Embracing this sacred duality unlocks the gates to deeper wisdom. It allows us to walk our paths with greater courage, authenticity, and wholeness. For in the heart of balanced duality, we find the truth of unity. Why does the very mention of dark magic send a chill down the spine? What is the source of this deep, often visceral unease? The roots of this fear are ancient, burrowing deep into our primal selves. Long before organized religions or complex societies shaped our thoughts, fear was a necessary companion, a guardian in a world of unknowns. It whispered warnings of unseen dangers lurking just beyond the firelight. This instinct, honed over millennia, remains a potent force within us, a primal echo that resonates when we confront the unfamiliar and the powerful. Consider the simple physical reality of darkness itself, the absence of light. For our ancestors, nightfall brought vulnerability, a shrouding of the known world. Predators moved under its cloak. The path ahead became treacherous, uncertain. Darkness naturally became synonymous with danger, with hidden threats. This fundamental association is deeply embedded in our collective human psyche. It is a biological imperative, a survival mechanism passed down through ages. The unseen is often perceived as the unsafe, the unlit as the unholy. This basic sensory experience lays a foundation for more complex fears. This innate apprehension of literal darkness readily transfers to the metaphorical. When we speak of dark magic, we tap into this primal wellspring of unease. It becomes inextricably linked with the unknown, with that which is veiled, with practices conducted in secret, away from the reassuring light of common day. The term itself suggests something obscured, something not meant for open eyes. This inherent mystery can be both alluring and deeply unsettling to the human spirit. We are drawn to secrets, yet we also harbour a fear of what those secrets might hold. The dark in dark magic thus signifies more than just a type of practice. It signifies the hidden. The unknown, by its very nature, is a vast canvas upon which our minds can paint the most vivid, the most terrifying of images. What we do not understand, we often instinctively fear, or at least approach with caution. Dark magic, shrouded in secrecy and often complex symbolism, presents a significant unknown to those outside its specific traditions. This lack of clear understanding creates a void, a space for anxieties to flourish. It is easier to project our deepest insecurities onto something we cannot fully grasp. Thus, the fear of dark magic often becomes a reflection of our fear of the unexplained itself. Section 2. The social construct, how societies cultivate fear. While primal instincts lay the groundwork, society acts as a powerful cultivator of fear. Individual apprehensions, when shared and validated by a group, gain immense strength. Societies throughout history have always sought to define and maintain order. This often involves establishing clear boundaries between the acceptable and the forbidden. What lies outside these established norms can easily become a target for collective fear. Practices deemed other or deviant are often swiftly stigmatized. This process is not always conscious, but it is deeply effective in shaping belief. Fear, in this context, becomes a tool for social cohesion, albeit a restrictive one. Dominant belief systems, whether religious, political, or cultural, play a crucial role. They often dictate what is considered sacred, and conversely, what is profane. Spiritual paths or magical practices that do not align with the prevailing orthodoxy are frequently cast in a negative light, portrayed as dangerous or subversive. This is not necessarily born of malice, but from a desire to protect the established order, to maintain the integrity of the dominant worldview against perceived threats. The dark label becomes a convenient way to categorize and dismiss alternatives, thus ensuring the continued adherence to the accepted way of seeing and being. Historically, those in positions of power have understood this dynamic well. The fear of dark arts or witchcraft has often been exploited to suppress dissenting voices, to persecute marginalized groups, or to eliminate rivals who challenged existing authority structures. Accusations of practicing forbidden magic became a potent weapon, capable of inciting public hysteria and justifying brutal acts of oppression. The witch hunts of centuries past stand as a stark testament to this manipulation, where fear, fanned by propaganda, led to unimaginable suffering and loss. This societal conditioning creates a powerful cultural inheritance of fear. Stories, warnings, and prejudices are passed down from one generation to the next. Children absorb these attitudes long before they can critically assess them. The fear of dark magic becomes an almost unquestioned part of the cultural landscape. It is embedded in language, in folklore, in common superstitions. This inherited fear is difficult to dislodge, even in more enlightened times. It forms a subtle, persistent bias that colours our perceptions, often without us even realising the ancient origins of our unease. Section 3. Sacred Texts and Shadowed Arts, Religious Framing of Evil. Many of the world's dominant religious traditions present a clear dualistic framework, a cosmic struggle between a benevolent creator god and a malevolent adversary. This divine opposition is often mirrored in a moral dichotomy of absolute good versus absolute evil. Such narratives provide a straightforward, easily understandable moral compass for believers. They define what is holy, what is righteous, and by extension, what is unholy and sinful. Within this framework, any spiritual power or practice not originating from the accepted divine source is often viewed with deep suspicion, if not outright condemnation. This sets the stage for a specific kind of fear surrounding alternative magic. Practices that did not fit neatly into the established religious doctrines or that seemed to draw upon powers outside the sanctioned channels were easily and often purposefully demonized by religious authorities. They were labeled as heretical, as devil worship, as trafficking with dark forces. The gods and spirits of older supplanted faiths were sometimes recast as demons. Their rituals and sacred sites became associated with evil and corruption. This theological reframing was a powerful tool for conversion and control, ensuring that loyalty remained with the dominant religious institution. Through this process, archetypal figures of fear were solidified in the collective imagination. The witch, communing with spirits in the dead of night, became a potent symbol, no longer a wise woman or healer, but a malevolent agent of the devil. The sorcerer, delving into forbidden lore, was seen as bartering his soul for unholy power. These figures became central characters in cautionary tales, sermons, and religious art. Their supposed actions, cursing, hexing, causing misfortune, fueled public terror, and reinforced the idea that any magic outside religious sanction was inherently evil. The fear was not just of harm, but of spiritual damnation. This creation of a powerful, enduring narrative solidified the stigma. It equated unfamiliar or independent spiritual practices with absolute objective evil. The fear of dark magic became intertwined with the fear of Satan, of demons, of hell itself. This was not merely a fear of the unknown, but a fear of ultimate spiritual peril. Such deeply ingrained religious conditioning has had a lasting impact, shaping Western culture's perception of magic for centuries, even in secular contexts. The echoes of these theological battles still resonate in our modern anxieties, contributing significantly to the instinctive recoil many feel towards dark magic. Section 4. The narrative spell stories that bind our perceptions. Human beings are, at their core, creatures of story, weavers of narrative. We make sense of the world, of ourselves, and of the unknown through the tales we tell. These stories, passed down through generations, shape our understanding and our beliefs. They provide frameworks for interpreting experiences and for defining what is good or bad. When it comes to dark magic, the power of narrative has been particularly potent. Folklore, myths, and legends across cultures are replete with cautionary tales of powerful sorcerers who meet terrible ends, of curses that destroy lives, of dark entities that demand dreadful prices for their boons. In more recent centuries, literature and then cinema have taken up this mantle. Gothic novels painted vivid pictures of shadowy figures performing forbidden rites. Horror films brought these fears to life on screen with terrifying immediacy. Dark magic became a staple of villainy, the go-to power source for antagonists. The visual and emotional impact of these portrayals is immense and far-reaching. They create powerful mental images, indelible associations that are hard to shake. The sorcerer in his dark tower, the witch cackling over her cauldron. These become the default images that spring to mind, reinforcing the fear. The repetition of these tropes across countless stories solidifies the apprehension. When dark magic is consistently depicted as a source of terror, corruption, and suffering, it becomes increasingly difficult to imagine it in any other light. The narratives create a self-reinforcing loop of fear and confirmation bias. We expect dark magic to be evil because that is what the stories have taught us. And any ambiguous or unfamiliar practice is then easily filtered through this lens of dread. The richness, the complexity, the potential for other interpretations is lost, swallowed by the overwhelming weight of negative narrative conditioning. This narrative spell binds our perceptions, often unconsciously. It creates a cultural shorthand where dark magic automatically equates to evil intent. Even for those who may not consciously subscribe to specific religious doctrines, the cultural narratives are pervasive, seeping into our worldview from a young age. They shape our emotional responses before our critical faculties are fully developed. Understanding this power of story is crucial if we are to deconstruct our fears, to recognize that the map of narrative is not always the territory of reality, and that other stories, other perspectives about these ancient arts may also exist. Section 5. Looking inward, deconstructing our inherited biases. Having explored these primal, societal, religious, and narrative roots of fear, we are now equipped to begin a more personal, introspective journey. Understanding the origins of our apprehension allows us to question its absolute validity. Is our fear of dark magic an informed response to a genuine threat, or is it an inherited echo, a cultural script we have unknowingly adopted? This is not to dismiss legitimate caution or ethical concerns entirely, but to encourage a deeper, more nuanced examination of our own inner landscape, to separate the learned fear from the lived experience. The invitation here is to look within with honesty and courage, to gently probe the nature of our own perceptions and biases. When we hear the phrase dark magic, what feelings arise within us? What images, what assumptions immediately surface in our minds? Are these responses based on direct knowledge, on careful study, or are they reflections of the stories we've been told, the fears we've absorbed? This self-reflection is a vital step towards true spiritual discernment. A willingness to unlearn can be as powerful as the willingness to learn. What is it that we truly fear when we contemplate these shadowed arts? Is it the magic itself, the idea of unseen forces being manipulated? Or is it perhaps something deeper, a fear of the unknown, as we first discussed? A fear of losing control, either our own or societal control? A fear of confronting aspects of power or of human nature that make us uncomfortable? Sometimes what we label as dark in the outer world is merely a projection of the unacknowledged shadows within our own selves, the parts of our own potential or psyche that we have yet to integrate. At Alice One, our guiding principle is that all is one. This encourages us to look beyond simplistic labels, to seek understanding over judgment. The fear of dark magic while understandable given its complex history, can ultimately limit our perception of the vast spectrum of spiritual experience. By acknowledging the roots of this fear, we empower ourselves to move beyond it, to approach all paths, even those shrouded in mystery, with an open heart, to discern for ourselves what resonates with truth and what is merely an echo of old anxieties. This conscious deconstruction is the key to unlocking a richer, more complete spiritual awareness. Section 1. The Tapestry Rewoven, Embracing the Spectrum. Our journey together through these shadowed, evocative realms now draws to a gentle, reflective pause, though the exploration never truly ends. We have walked paths less trodden, paths often obscured by apprehension. We have peered behind veils meticulously woven by fear and profound misunderstanding. From the resilient, earthbound heart of Hoodoo's intensely practical magic, to the vibrant, communal spiritual pulse that animates the soul of Voodoo, and into the challenging, self-determined philosophies of modern Satanism, we have sought clarity. Each careful step revealed not the monstrous forms of fearful legend, but complex, deeply human traditions, each with its own sacred story. Throughout this shared exploration, a single, persistent invitation has softly echoed. The gentle yet insistent call to embrace an open mind, a truly receptive spirit. It is perhaps a sacred duty for all those who genuinely seek authentic wisdom, to courageously question, to patiently, meticulously dismantle the preconceived notions, the inherited labels, the cultural shorthand that so often constrict our spiritual sight. The world of spirit, much like the vast star-strewn night sky itself, is boundless. It is immeasurable, refusing to be confined within narrow, man-made boxes of dogma or bias. Our journey, this shared time, was but a humble, sincere attempt to honor this inherent vastness, to gently fan that vital, precious spark of curiosity that ultimately leads to authentic knowing. The term dark, so often wielded as a heavy brand of swift condemnation, has, upon closer inspection, revealed itself to be far more nuanced, far more complex. It is frequently a shadow cast not by any inherent, intrinsic evil, but by the simple, profound absence of clear light, the illuminating light of true understanding. These ancient practices, long relegated to the dim periphery of accepted spirituality, are not empty, desolate voids of calculated malevolence, as many stories would have us believe. They are, in truth, rich with intricate, fascinating histories, with profound and unique cosmologies, with distinctive forms of ancestral wisdom passed down through often challenging times. We have glimpsed this truth in the fiercely protective embrace of dedicated rootwork, in the undeniable rhythmic heartbeat of voodoo ceremony, and in Satanism's bold call to self-sovereignty. May this exploration, these shared moments of contemplation and discovery, serve not as a definitive end, but as a gentle, encouraging beginning for you. A whispered invitation to embark upon your own continued journey into the mystical. The vast, ever-changing landscape of spiritual truth is constantly unfolding, a path that winds onward. Each individual soul must ultimately navigate this sacred, mysterious terrain for themselves, guided by the subtle, insistent whispers of their own unique inner compass. The quest for deep understanding is a profoundly personal, deeply sacred pilgrimage. Cherish your questions always, nurture your nascent insights, and dare to explore. Explore with an unburdened heart, for the mysteries of existence patiently, lovingly await those who seek. Section 2. Beyond the Veil of Fear, the Practitioner's Heart. We have, in our time together, acknowledged the pervasive, chilling fear that so often surrounds the very concept, the mere utterance, of dark magic. We traced its ancient, primal roots, its careful societal cultivation, its powerful narrative reinforcement through centuries of story and ingrained belief. This fear, like a heavy, obscuring mist, can indeed distort the path, making shadows seem like monsters, making the unknown seem inherently menacing. Yet, understanding the manifold origins of this fear grants us a certain power. The power to gently, consciously dissipate its hold upon our perception. For fear thrives best in the barren soil of ignorance, while true understanding is a steady, unwavering beacon that illuminates the way forward, revealing what truly is. Crucially, we have seen, time and again, that the true essence, the intrinsic nature of any magical art, any spiritual practice, whether it be a softly whispered charm for healing or a complex, demanding ritual, resides not in its outward form, its historical associations, or its given name. It lies undeniably, profoundly, within the dedicated heart, the focused mind, the clear, unwavering intention of the individual practitioner who engages with it. This was a resonant refrain that echoed through our careful examination of Hoodoo, of Voodoo, and even of the often misunderstood tenets of modern Satanism. Power itself, in its myriad potent manifestations, is a neutral, amoral current, a wild, untamed force of nature. It is the human will, the focused human intent, that shapes its ultimate expression. Therefore, I extend to you a heartfelt invitation to consider embracing the full, glorious, and sometimes challenging spectrum of available spiritual energy. Not to instinctively shy away from those potent currents and ancient practices that have been unfairly labelled as dark, dangerous, or forbidden by others. For within these often misunderstood, deeply shadowed realms may lie potent, invaluable keys. Keys to unlocking profound, lasting healing for wounds both seen and unseen, to invoking necessary, long-awaited justice in a world too often thrown off its balance, or to claiming a deeper, more authentic and truly empowering personal power. The universe, in its infinite wisdom, does not censor its available energies. It offers them all. It is for us as conscious seekers to learn with wisdom, respect, and diligent care how to engage. This exploration, however, this journey into the less illuminated corners, comes with a solemn, unavoidable reminder of profound and personal responsibility. To delve into any potent spiritual path, any system of powerful magic, whether it is traditionally bathed in the brightest light or deeply veiled in concealing shadow, demands the utmost care, the most diligent preparation, the keenest awareness. It requires unwavering discernment, a commitment to thorough study and understanding, and a deeply rooted, consistently consulted ethical compass to guide every action. Respect for the forces invoked and for the potential, far-reaching impact on oneself, on others, and on the delicate fabric of the world is absolutely paramount. This is not a realm for the merely reckless, the insatiably arrogant, or the casual thrill-seeker. Section 3. The All is One. Light, Shadow, and the Path to Wholeness. Let us return, in these final moments of our shared contemplation, to the profound, encompassing wisdom of duality, a truth that underpins all. That timeless, vital understanding that light and shadow are not eternal adversaries, locked in some perpetual cosmic combat for the soul of existence, but rather they are two inseparable, essential aspects of a single, unified reality. They are devoted partners in the eternal, sacred dance of creation and dissolution, each defining the other, each completing the other, each holding a spark of its opposite. True, deep understanding of existence arises not from rigidly choosing one and vehemently rejecting the other, but from perceiving their sacred, constant interplay, their inherent, undeniable necessity. This recognition transforms our perception of the world and of our sacred place within its mystery. The journey toward individual wholeness, toward integrated spiritual maturity mirrors this grand cosmic truth in its most intimate personal expression. It involves the courageous, often challenging integration of all facets of our being. The radiant, easily accepted light of our virtues, our strengths, our compassionate acts, and the complex, often misunderstood and sometimes feared shadows of our hidden selves. To acknowledge one's own shadow, to explore its depths with gentle curiosity, is not to embrace evil, as some might mistakenly fear, leading them to suppression. It is instead to embrace true completeness, to reclaim lost power, to foster authentic self-awareness. For it is in the sacred alchemical marriage of our inner light and our inner darkness that we ultimately find our truest, most resilient strength, our deepest, most resonant wisdom. This brings us full circle, returning us to the core essence, the guiding star of Alice 1, the simple yet profoundly transformative and liberating understanding that all is one. The divisions we so often perceive, the stark lines we draw in the sand between what we label as good and what we label as evil, light and dark, sacred and profane, are frequently, upon closer, more honest examination, revealed to be illusions. Veils woven by limited perception, by inherited fear, by societal conditioning. In the grand, magnificent, and infinitely intricate tapestry of all existence, every single thread, no matter its colour or texture, has its vital place, its unique purpose, its intrinsic beauty. Dark and light are but different textures, different hues, different notes in this single unified masterpiece. This is the ultimate liberating truth that whispers softly through all genuine spiritual seeking. And so, as our shared time together for now gently concludes, I offer this final soft counsel. Stay curious always. Allow your precious spirit to question, to explore, to seek its own unique resonance. Stay magical, for the world, this very earth, is truly alive with unseen wonders. For those who cultivate the eyes to see, the ears to hear, the heart to feel. And above all, stay true, steadfastly true, to your own sacred inner truth. The quiet, persistent voice that guides your individual, irreplaceable path through this life. Remember always that the light you earnestly seek, the illumination you crave, shines brightest, most profoundly, most transformatively, when you possess the quiet courage to acknowledge, to understand, and even, in time, to lovingly embrace the shadows. For in the end, and in the beginning, and always, all is indeed one. If you found this journey enlightening, please like this video and subscribe to our channel. Join us as we continue to explore the mysteries of the universe and the depths of the human spirit.